Welcome back. I am going to be working on JIT 4, absolute value. I'm going to reiterate, absolute value is a distance. So -1 inside the absolute value bars is 1, and 1 inside the absolute value bars is 1, right? It's the same as if I go from Minneapolis to St. Paul, or from St. Paul to Minneapolis, I will have gone the same distance. Okay, so going forward, I'm going to use the abbreviation ABS VAL so that I don't have to write absolute value out every time, just so that you guys are aware. And I will agree that absolute value seems easy when you're thinking about only one number or, a very small set of numbers that you're dealing with. But the more complex the expression, the more difficult it tends to become. So I'm going to just kind of go over here. We've got, I've got the absolute value of A is equal to A, and I've got the absolute value of -27 is positive 27. The absolute value of 7 is 7. Now, I've seen people make the mistake thinking somehow that becomes negative. That's not true. Since it's a distance, it's always, always, always going to be positive. All right? And that's going to become really important here very shortly. So here I have my absolute value of 5x, and we say that that's going to be 5 times the absolute value of x. Or you can say 5x where x must be greater than or equal to 0. You can't have a negative value here, right? We just came to that conclusion because it's a distance. It can't be a negative value. It could be 0, but it can't be a negative value. So in that case, it is restricted to being either presented like this or with a constraint on it like this. All right. So is it possible to have the variable inside of the absolute value become negative or be a negative? And the answer is yes, it is possible. Absolute values are going to have two solutions in all cases with one exception, and that exception is the case of the absolute value of 0 is 0. There is no second, it's not like there's a -0. There's only 0. So in this one case, there is only one solution. In every other case, there will be two solutions. Okay, so here we're going to take a look at example 1. I have x plus 9 inside the absolute value bars, and that's going to equal 10. And when you stop and think about it, our intuition says to us, okay, that's a 1. And we may find out that that is in fact true, that it is a 1, but we kind of need to think about that and be mindful that there may be some more going on there. All right, so when I split it out, if you stop and think about the fact that -a, the absolute value of that is going to be a, and the absolute value of a is a, you have to address both possibilities. So when I take those absolute value bars off, right, I'm going to wind up with x plus 9 equals -10, and I'm going to have x plus 9 equals 10. When I subtract the 9 from both sides of the equations, in this case, I wind up with an x equals -19. And here I wind up with x equals 1. So our intuition was correct. All right, our intuition was correct. We were correct that, yes, one of those two solutions is going to be a 1, but it is not an automatic that that's the only solution. And be really, really careful. I've seen people say, oh, I found one of the solutions, so the other one is just the negative of that. And the answer is no, that is not how that works. So you actually have to do the math in both cases.